إن تطاول ليلنا أو تمادى في الظلام أو تعذر ركبنا وسط أرتال الركام، إن تضاءل حلمنا أو تناثر في الزحام.
It's like people don't even know who the Uyghurs are. Like none of my friends or family knew who the Uyghurs are. So one of the first trips we started with a food distribution. One side was like oil and rice, and then the other side was these massive bags of flour, and it was the first time, so it was not super organized. At the end of the day, the team just felt like they wanted to do it again. I think that distribution was on a Saturday, and then we did it again on the Sunday or the Friday. Like we ended up doing another one. We really focus on ensuring that you get to see kind of like where your money's going. And one of the ideas that our team member had was to write the names of donors on the food kits that we were giving out. We had planned to give out 200 food packages, and it included some winter relief stuff. So we gave out eggs, rice, flour, oil, and then there was a gift card so they could buy winter clothes. So we had planned to give out 200, and we ended up giving out 250. We did the backpack distribution. That also is more of a symbolic type of project. We do sponsor some of the kids to attend school, but we just wanted to emphasize the importance of education. I remember the best part of going back to school is getting the new backpack, and not everyone can get a new backpack. So this was kind of to give them that excited feeling of getting a new backpack, getting some new stationery, and then really prioritizing education for them. Yeah. We distributed about 6 sewing machines, and the idea with the sewing machines was so they could start their own business and they could sustain their own income. Yeah. We did 4 house visits, and these were Uyghur sisters who had received sewing machines last year. As the day went on, it just got heavier and heavier and heavier. The stories had like a similar thread, which involved medical issues that were preventing them or their spouse from working, like rent being higher than their monthly income. I would say about half of the women were working pretty much any working hour they could actually work. They were doing that, and they were still like either just making rent or a little bit below. And then there's something happening here where the rent is like more than doubling, and in some cases, instead of like just doubling the rate for the person living there, they actually evict. Every family that we visit, the Quran and just Islam is everywhere as soon as you walk in. There might not be anything else, but there's like a shelf with Qurans on it. There's some sort of artwork. This is a special community. They're really preserving, I know they're preserving the Uyghur culture, but they're preserving Islam. They are putting a lot of hope and motivation and inspiration into their children to carry on their culture and be successful. Years from now, they're not going to need us anymore. They're going to be self-sufficient. Like, I can't wait for that day. I'm extremely confident, inshallah, that day is going to come. Because yes, the clothing will help them, for a couple months, maybe a couple years, but that's not going to help lift them out of poverty. That's where the things like the sewing machine come in. And of course, these like food and these things do take stress away from the families so that they can focus on working and finding a job. But the bigger picture is those sustainable development projects, like the sewing machine, setting up a business, those sorts of things, education. It's so hard to fundraise for sustainable development. It is extremely hard to get the communities, active and support a sustainable development project, because even when you see these families, they're living in apartments. They don't look poor. They have shoes. And unfortunately, we've become accustomed to these band-aid solutions of like emergency campaigns. And I'm not saying those don't need our support. 100% they need our support as well. But we're used to seeing like a certain image of like what poverty is. That's what makes it really hard to fundraise for this community here. Our goal is to not have to help them anymore, to not have to ask for donations for them, is to really set up these projects that make this community self-sufficient. And they're inshallah going to be there. They're such a hardworking community, and they're going to sustain themselves and become the donors for other communities that need it.